very impressive progress towards achieving those goals, but very uneven progress as well across countries, across goals and targets. And so I don't think any of us is convinced that we will have achieved them all by 2015, even if we make our best efforts between now and then. There just isn't enough time to do all the work that's needed. But even if we did, there still is a lot more work to be done just on those goals and targets alone. Because, for example, I'm sure you all know MDG 1 is about eradicating poverty. But the target is only about halving the rate of poverty by 2015. So clearly we have to go the other half to eradicate poverty in the next 20 years. Similarly with the other goals and targets. Even if we were to achieve the targets, we would only be halfway there or 2/3 of the way there, depending on the target. So we still need to work towards the aspirational goals that are set out in the MDGs. And at the same time, we need to look beyond the MDGs to see what societies, what countries, what all of us need to do to ensure that our planet is a sustainable one for the next century, for the 21st century, that we address the big challenges that will actually come back to haunt us if we do not address them, and will set back much of the social and economic progress that we have achieved and that we hope to continue to make in the coming years. And I speak about a number of challenges, but perhaps the most pressing one that you all are aware of, is climate change. I'll come back to that in a moment, but maybe I should begin by coming back to the Rio Plus 20 conference and setting the stage there, because I've been told that not all of you are necessarily up to speed, many of you are, on post-2015, what's that? The Rio Plus 20, what's that? What are the SDGs, okay? Well, the post-2015 agenda I like to think of as a slow train that left the station around 2010, when member states of the United Nations got together and said, okay, we have 5 years to achieve the MDGs. Let's decide what we need to do to achieve them, but let's think about what happens after the MDGs. So 2010. Rio Plus 20, I'd like to think of as an express train that came along and overtook the slow post-2015 train, where member states in 2012 said, look, let's think about a new set of goals that would integrate the economic, the social, and the environmental dimensions of development, sustainable development, going forward. Because that's the only way we can ensure that poverty will be irreversible, that human progress will be irreversible, if we address all three of those dimensions. And so the way I see it, the main objective, as stated in the General Assembly resolution which called for the Rio conference, the main objective of that conference was to renew political commitment for sustainable development. Remember, it was 20 years after Rio, the Earth Summit. You had the Framework Convention on Climate Change, you had the Convention on Biodiversity, and you had other major environmental legislation that happened, that was agreed in Rio. But enthusiasm for sustainable development began to wane, as reflected in the increasing struggle of the Commission on Sustainable Development to reach agreement on its outcomes. And member states clearly felt the need to inject new energy into sustainable development 20 years later, particularly in light of all we've come to learn about the challenges we face in the past 20 years, with the successive reports of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, for example, which keep telling us one after another that the situation is worse than we thought it was last time around.
So I'm here. I really, and then I'm glad that Africa Vision Nouvelle TV came to cover this event because I believe in technology. I come to America through technology. So I think more we put this video online, more young people, young girls and women across the world, more they will know about what is going on here today. So, and then also I speak for the girls because I'm a girl, and then I believe in empowering girls because they are the future mother. I'm proudly wearing a medal from Soul Optimist. I did the marathon in my country 2005 because before I came to America. I'm so happy to wear this medal because I believe in promoting peace. That's why I host International Day for Peace in my country, even at Columbia University, UN Peace Day. So my question actually, it's about how can we, because I heard Madame, the president of Soul Optimist International, Macy Gervais, she highlighted the fact that we have to change the mindset of men and boys. I wonder how can we mobilize or motivate women, because when we talk about boys, what comes to my mind is a women. Women are the one, they are the mothers, they are the one who raise their children. How can we help women to understand that they have to raise their children, their boys, in making their mind thinking that they have to respect women everywhere, and girls? How can we do this? How can we mobilize women to do this? Because even when sometimes I watch people who succeeded, they give credit to their mother. Every man who succeeded, they give credit to their mother. How can mother help us to change this mindset of the men? And then also I would love to hear some tips from men as well, in men's perspective. How can we help women to mobilize and then also to raise their children, especially the boys, to think that they can respect women? And then also the girls, to think that they are not behind, because I really credit my mother. She's the one who gave me confidence and self-esteem. When I was little, like under 5 years old, she made me feel that I can do anything a boys can do. So how can we help a mother think that they can put that self-esteem in the girls? My last is about how you highlighted the economic and the poverty. How you say that women who are household, they face poverty, and then also therefore their children live in poverty. I would love to share with you because I work with the orphans. I work with many girls who are taking care of their young siblings. We see cases of like 22 years old girls sacrificing their future life. They don't go to school because they have to take care of the young siblings, because in Rwanda, because of genocide, we have more than 1 million orphans. These kids, young adult children, they don't even get $2 to pay for their health insurance. $2 is like 1,000 local money in my country, but they can't afford to get that money, which is a government program to support poor people. So those girls, they still live in less than poverty, under poverty. So how can we help those girls? And then thank you very much.
Shape the ways in which our power as investors gets reflected in the decisions made by multinational corporations. There are more direct ways to do it, to be honest. Relevant today, when I was a graduate student, to divest their investments as a university, endowments and what have you, to get them to divest from companies that were doing business with apartheid South Africa. It happened, but it happened, I must say, followed. Today, the issue is no longer, thank God, their universities also, and students in universities are taking action to divest of companies that are investing, for example, in fossil fuel producers.
It's women who've succeeded to come and harness and help you to succeed.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye. Yes, yes.
So I think what you should do is send me all, What you wrote that one time for me, or whatever, to give you, so I can send you a background.
Yes.
And what you're trying to do.
Yes, definitely.
And then I'll send it to Ann. And maybe you never know. We can't promise, but you never know.
No problem.
Right.
For this class, you remember she said I should send you.
It's good to see you. And I've been involved in your system for a very long time.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Yeah, let's stay in touch.
Thanks again.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You got so
Yeah,
much
sure.
information.
Okay, well, thanks. I hope it was useful. I got
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Hi, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for coming today, actually, to inspire us with your powerful presentation. God bless. So you can go ahead and tell me.
tell you. You mean answer your question?
Yeah, my question, no problem.
Okay. Well, I don't have an easy answer, frankly. I mean, I think the kind of problem you described is the reason why we have to keep the focus of our agenda on poverty eradication. And well, I will say, though, that there are interesting innovations going on in Africa, of which I'm aware, and you're probably aware, to do, for example, with health insurance and micro insurance for people in the kind of situation that you described, girls taking care of their young siblings. And if they fall ill, they'll not be able to support them, and they will affect the whole family. So that in East Africa, I know in Kenya, I'm not sure in Rwanda, but I can certainly find out for you. I know there's an organization, probably more than one now, but several years ago we invited the head of that organization here to speak about how his organization was using micro insurance with very, very small payments that were affordable even to poor people to cover them from calamities that would force them to be unable to feed their families because of health problems. And it even was being used to address people who were infected with HIV/AIDS and who were facing health problems related to that, which seemed to be a big obstacle for health insurance, because it's such a debilitating problem in many countries in Africa.
Yeah.
But I can certainly tell you, I forget the name of the organization, but it was started by a man who was a missionary. He's an Irish doctor who had gone and lived and started up this organization in Kenya that provides microinsurance and is done on a sustainable basis, which means that the premia that are paid into the system are enough to support the payments out of the system. A number of multinational companies who have workers, some of whom have HIV/AIDS, use the insurance scheme to cover their workers, which helps them to be able to provide insurance even for others who are, let's say, self-employed, who are not working for big companies. So there's a kind of a cross subsidy involved, but it's coming from a business model, not a charity model. And so it is working. And so if that can be replicated in other places in Africa, then it provides hope that it can be done sustainably, basically.
Yeah, but for the orphans, like the case I described, it's $2. $2 is nothing. But they can't afford it together.
Right.
That's the minimum,
I
think
right. That's
insurance asks. So they can't even afford.
I guess that's the question. Can it be done more cheaply than that, so that people even can do it for can pay even less than $2?
Can it be
or
free?
not?
Can
it be free? Yeah. Well, ideally. It should be free if we have a goal after 2015,
which poverty, and then poor people really they don't even.
No, right. I agree.
A dollar to
eat. So if there's a way by which there is a big enough tax base in the country to be able to enable government to provide free health coverage and free education, that would be great. Right now, in many countries in Africa, it's not the case because much of the economy is informal. There's not enough tax revenue coming in. But there is work that's been done well, first, let me say that there is progress being made in Africa to increase the tax base, to increase domestic tax revenue and resource mobilization so that governments have more ability to provide a social safety net for their people. That is happening. It's not yet fast enough and far enough, but it is happening in Rwanda too, for example.
Yes.
But there is also work that's been done at the World Bank, which I can, if you give me a card, I can direct you to.
Yes, I would love to have yours as well.
Yeah, I don't have another one. That's the problem. But I can send you my email.
Write down your email.
But there is work being done to show that even in relatively poor countries in Africa, it is possible for governments to afford a basic social safety net for their people, for basic, affordable health care, basic services for people who can't afford them. So, it's true that most of the countries which provide that are relatively rich countries, but this work done at the World Bank shows that even in poor countries, a bare minimum of social safety net is affordable, can be provided by governments. And so that's in other countries in Africa. So I'll send you the information about it. There are no easy answers, though. We know that. We know that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so what about
there is also, in countries like Rwanda, as you know better than me, basically families are the safety net, and extended families are the safety net. And so for the moment, until the government can provide that, that's what people fall back on and have to. And where you have orphans, of course, you don't have extended families. So you have to, find a way that you can deal with them. And I don't know to what extent international agencies and other countries are trying to help Rwanda in dealing with that particular problem. Actually help provide that kind of safety net to a country like Rwanda, which has gone through such a traumatic recent historical experience. I'm not sure, but I guess you know better than I.
I'm writing a book about it. Maybe it could with people.
Yeah, but certainly, the government of Rwanda is proactive, is respected by many countries in the world, and is doing a good job to try to reverse the cost, the consequences of the genocide, and to try to make sure Rwanda, even if it's dependent on aid now, which it is, and I saw your president recently on TV talking about the fact that Rwanda is heavily dependent on foreign assistance right now, but it is working hard to reduce that dependence, to become basically able to be self-reliant, essentially, in most respects, in the foreseeable future. And that's an admirable and commendable grow as it has been growing in recent years. Economically, it's been doing quite well. But it's got to continue that, and it's got to continue to maintain the stability, that will enable growth in the coming years in order to be able to reduce its dependence on foreign assistance.
Thank you. So tips about mobilizing women to inspire to change the mind.
Change their mindset. Well, I think myself that women play an important role and can do that, but they need the broader society and the institutions of society, the educational system, the economic system to support them, because they need to be able to convince their sons that women are equal in all respects, that women have the same opportunities economically, that they can go out and find jobs and get employment that's equal to boys in terms of its contribution to society, that women have the opportunities to get education. And so if those opportunities are not out there, it's hard for the mothers to convince their sons that girls are equal, because they're not in the broader society. So without that, girls will continue to have the custom roles of looking after the family, getting the firewood and cooking the meals and feeding the children. of course, even in developed countries, women continue to have those roles to a large extent, but they must have other opportunities, and of course that will mean that boys and men will have to share some of the burdens of women and of girls in order to enable girls to study and not to have to just tend to the raising of the other family members and cooking meals and sharing the burden that's now borne entirely by women and girls. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but that happens when economic opportunities are created so that have more time to be employed in a family business or outside the home. They don't have to spend all of their time just trying to keep the family alive, basically. Okay, so those broader changes have to happen, and that's partly a function of economic development, infrastructure development, clean water, electricity, basically things that will make life easier for girls and women, the kind of conveniences that we take for granted in developed countries, but are just still, dreams for many poor women in developing countries. Refrigeration, clean cook stuff. Right, exactly, right. Yeah, those things, they come with economic development, and hopefully as Rwanda and other African countries continue to grow, more and more people will be able to enjoy those, and then attitudes will change.
I love the, thank you. I love the fact you highlighted economic in the Millennium Development Goals. They forget to put economic.
Right.
And then this is really, we need the money. We need the money to do everything. We can't achieve development, sustainable development without talking about money.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I really highlight to you the fact you raised that. I don't know how they forget to put that in the Millennium Development Goals.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks so much. Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get my right here at United Nations, where we just finished this wonderful panel discussion, which was organized actually by Soroptimist International, which is a global voice for women, women and girls. So we are with the moderator Purette. My name is Claudine, by the way. So we are with the moderator Purette Igaro, Forby. She's going to tell us why they chose to host this event here. Post Millennium Development Goals post 2015 agenda for sustainable development. Tell us why.
Well, the Soroptimist International decided to host this organization because the Millennium Development Goals are coming to an end, and the United Nations has put into action the post-development agenda, post-2015 development agenda, which will is a planning to take over after the deadline of the Millennium Development Goals, and we felt that we should have an input into the process at the planning stage, because then we can be more effective if we do it then, rather than trying to intervene into things after they have been set.
Wonderful. So I know you had one of the panelists, you had the president of Soroptimist International, Anna Gavis, who just flew in from UK, and then you had David O'Connor, Chief of Analysis Policy, DISA. So then you had this event today, October 24th. Why today? Today is a UN Day. Why today?
That's exactly why we had it today, because today is UN Day, the 65th celebration of UN Day, and the UN is there. It was established to improve the lives of the people, and this is an unprecedented attempt to move forward, and the Millennium Development Goals in the first place was an unprecedented attempt to eradicate poverty, and this new agenda will take over from there. And after what we have learned from the execution of the Millennium Development Goals, we feel that there's even more to know, or we have greater knowledge base from which to take this forward. So it's very important for us to do this on UN Day, because it is the UN that is spearheading this for the entire world.
Thank you very much. Final question. I would love for you to give a message or tips, message of hope to the orphans of Rwanda, especially young girls.
Oh, yes. Everybody should be hopeful. Don't wait for people to tell you to be hopeful. And always have high self-esteem. No matter what is happening to you, think highly of yourself. And there will be trials and tribulations, but regardless of what you're doing, what you encounter, it's very important to rise above these adversities and continue with your journey, and you will meet success.
Thank you. I apologize. I said there was last question, but I have a question coming to my mind. It's about bridging the gap. I want to bridge the gap between successful women and less successful ones. How can we make the women who succeeded help like a mentor or help the less successful one? Because those who succeeded, they pass through much. So we don't want other women to pass through the same circle of struggle. How can we help? How can we do this?
I think you already have the answer. Mentorship. Try to connect with other women who have had experience in life. It's always good for the generations to be in touch with each other, and that's what is being referred to these days as intergeneration communication. Because we know even from our customary lives that the young people learn from the old people. And the new lifestyle, with the new lifestyle, a lot of this has been separated, the old separated from the young, because many of the young people go to cities, they leave the old people behind, and the connection has been broken. But no matter what our lifestyle is, it's important for us to keep in touch with older people.
Wonderful. Do you have a website of Soul Optimist?
Yes, it's souroptimistinternational.org.
Souroptimistinternational.com. And you are?
And I'm Paulette Forbes Igaru. I am one of the representatives for Soul Optimist International at the United Nations in New York.
Thank you very much for hosting this event. Thank you. This is Africa Vision Nouvelle TV in New York, and then we are online everywhere you can watch us. I am Marie-Claudine Mukamawano. I am very proud to be here and then to attend this powerful event about Soul Optimists, the event which called the Millennium Development Goals and posted 2015 Agenda for Sustainable Development. What can civil society and NGO do to engage the post-2015 agenda, which was Thursday, October 24th from 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 11 floor at Church Center. Thank you very much, Africa Vision Nouvelle TV.